She barely had time to turn her head. The slap came fast, open palm, full force, snapping her face sideways in front of everyone. Not an accident. Not a warning. A message. Her papers slipped from her hands and scattered across the floor. For one sharp second, the room held its breath. Then nothing happened. No outrage. No objection. Just silence swallowing the moment whole. Officer Jude lowered his hand slowly, almost casually, like this was routine. "Don't talk out of turn," he said. Her cheek burned. The sting crept into her jaw, her ear, her pride. She didn't cry. She didn't shout. She stood there, stunned, not by the pain, but by how easily it was allowed. She bent down and gathered her papers herself. No one helped. The judge exhaled in irritation. "You people always think you can question authority," he muttered. The words landed heavier than the slap. She straightened, eyes level now, voice low but controlled. "I was answering the question." Officer Jude stepped forward again. "Say another word and you'll be dragged out." Power leaned in close, confident it owned the moment. She nodded once. Slow. Deliberate. Not in fear. In acknowledgement. Because what they mistook for submission was calculation. The slap wasn't chaos. It was evidence. And she had just let them create it. She reached into her briefcase, not hurried, not defiant, and placed a leather folder on the defense table. Inside were documents that didn't beg. They instructed. She spoke again, voice level, surgical. "I'm here under statutory mandate, Section 12B. This proceeding was scheduled at my request." The judge scoffed. "Ma'am, you're in no position." She turned, finally, and faced the bench. "Actually, Your Honor, I am." The room leaned in. She slid the folder forward. The seal on the top page wasn't decorative. It was decisive. A judicial appointment letter. Effective immediately. Emergency authority invoked after a federal ethics review. Her name printed above a title the room suddenly recognized. Associate Justice. Oversight Circuit. The judge's face drained of performance. The bailiff froze. Officer Jude shifted. Too late. She continued, precise as a verdict. "This court is under review for procedural misconduct, including excessive force and prejudicial handling of defendants. I was instructed to observe. You volunteered evidence." Silence collapsed inward. She stepped away from the defense table and moved, not triumphantly, not slowly, just correctly. Each footstep rewrote the hierarchy. The clerk stood without being told. The judge stood because he had to. She took the seat. The gavel fit her hand like it had been waiting. "Officer," she said, eyes steady, "you assaulted a judicial appointee in open court. Sit down. You're now a subject, not an enforcer." Power didn't shout. It recalibrated. She ran the room the way a surgeon runs an operating table. No emotion, no excess. Orders were issued. Records were sealed and duplicated. Internal Affairs was notified before lunch. The judge was escorted out, not in cuffs, but in disgrace, the kind that stains resumes and rewrites legacies. The officers were suspended pending charges. No speeches. No headlines engineered. Just consequences aligned with facts. Before adjournment, she addressed the room once more. "This court confused authority with immunity," she said. "Today clarifies the difference." She struck the gavel once. Final. Outside, reporters gathered, hungry for drama. She gave them none. She walked past cameras with the same composure she'd stood with after the slap. The lesson wasn't for television. It was for institutions. Power, when loud, is often insecure. Justice, when real, doesn't need an audience. And the most dangerous revenge isn't fury, it's preparation meeting arrogance at exactly the right second. Viewers, I need you all to understand that power often mistakes silence for weakness and compliance for surrender. But real leverage doesn't announce itself. It documents, it waits, it learns the system better than the people abusing it. In a world where arrogance moves fast and loud, wisdom moves slow and precise. Not every injustice needs an immediate reaction. Some need memory, restraint, and timing. Because the most devastating response to humiliation isn't rage. It's preparation. And when the moment finally turns, power doesn't apologize. It gets replaced. If that moment made you pause, sit with it. Stories like this aren't built for comfort. They're built to expose how power really moves when it thinks no one is watching. Share your perspective in the comments. Was this restraint, or was it strategy in motion? Your insight adds signal where silence usually protects arrogance. If you value accountability over theatrics, engage with this video. If you believe injustice unchallenged becomes policy, pass this story forward. Subscribe to Hidden Tales Stories to stay ahead of narratives that don't shout, but land, told from the soul. Because the most consequential shifts in power happen quietly, long before the verdict is public.